Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this one hit my inbox just a little while ago, and it's something I've talked about more than once, and I generally get indifference or I actually get mocked and made fun of, and otherwise attacked for daring to even suggest it. But the more I watch the news and world events, the more this is proven to be one of the ultimate goals of the far left. So let's dive right in. LGBT is out to destroy Christianity forever. Hotwire News. The militant LGBT activists who fought for years for homosexuality to be recognized by a society, and now that it is prominent in our culture and they have not only equal but special legal protection in the US, they are simply not satisfied at that. Pardon me. The LGBT left seem to believe their mission will not be complete in their eyes. It is not enough that they have gained the legal rights they demanded for years. No, every person in this country must share their views on homosexuality, and those who don't must be punished. What could be the end except for an utter war against the Holy Bible and the godly citizens that will not compromise with such sickness? America is on the precipice of complete sorrow and deceit. Uh, if this one photo alone does not show the ultimate goal of a large segment of society, I don't know what would. Seek and destroy. This appears to be the case with a group of activists who have targeted a Christian ministry managed by a man who overcame homosexuality and are intent on completely destroying the work they are doing, as well as all the ministries that offer guidance to those seeking freedom from homosexuality. Christian Newswire has the story. The level of hatred and bullying is not like anything we've seen before, says Stephen Black, who lived as a gay man for 8 years, over 35 years ago, and now executive director of First Stone Ministries is in the crosshairs of gay activists. On April 6th, First Stone Ministries, firststone.org, is hosting a public screening of the documentary film Transformed, Finding Peace with Your God-Given Gender. The documentary is about 15 people who were unhappy as homosexuals and transgendered and wanted more in their relationship with Jesus Christ, says Black. Gay activists have already sent death threats to a Michigan pastor and his family and are now setting their sights on Black. Gay advocate and professor Sarah Cunningham vowed to close First Stone Ministries. She appealed for a $25,000 grant from Starbucks for her mission. Her goal is to mobilize and eliminate any mention of the possibility of change, even if people want it and even if it means a transformed life. To agree to disagree on this issue and this type of ministry is no longer acceptable, says Cunningham. But Black sees it differently. In the last 10 years, there has been an increasing attack on the gospel-centered message of freedom from homosexuality. Activists are intent on shutting down any counseling that leads to new life in Christ and freedom from homosexuality. Please consider supporting First Stone Ministries, either financially or by keeping them in your prayers as they stand strong against these vicious and violent attacks. If you'd like to encourage Stephen Black during these trying times, you can reach out to him here. Let's let him know we stand with him in his ministry. Just to be clear, these are the folks who pretend to be offended by Donald Trump's language. The church that Jesus Christ died for and was entrusted to the Apostle Paul did not reemerge until the time of John Wycliffe and the Restoration. We call this time period the Enlightenment. In 2014, the LGBT mafia is, for a different reason and for a different outcome, attempting the same style or type of hostile takeover, rewriting the scriptures. If the militant LGBT is to be successful, they must first neutralize all those righteous scriptures about their lifestyle, Old and New Testaments, which condemn sodomy between men and lesbianism between women. It's kind of hard to sit in the pews and feel comfortable with the Bible telling you your lifestyle is an abomination before a righteous God. So they are publishing Bible translations, true perversions, which removes the offending Bible passages. Bibles like the Queen James Bible aim to meet their need. Its authors say this: the Queen James Bible resolves any homophobic interpretations of the Bible, but the Bible is still filled with inequality and even contradiction that we have not addressed. The website notes, no Bible is perfect, including this one. We wanted to make a book filled with the words of God that nobody could use to incorrectly condemn God's LGBT children, and we succeeded. Authors like Matthew Vines, already a queer celebrity, has written God and the Gay Christian, which seeks to completely rewrite the historical Bible position against homosexuality. Book publishers who fear the wrath of being labeled as homophobic by the militant LGBT mafia are publishing books like these, which are lapped up by soft Christian churches and rendered impotent by a decade of cotton candy preaching like of Joel Osteen and a host of other so-called ministers. Because of the spiritual deadness that exists, these tactics have been surprisingly effective. Just as Obama labels all those who oppose him and his Marxist politics as racist, the LGBT label all those who oppose their queer lifestyle as speaking hate speech, which coincidentally is now a crime. The LGBT mafia is ruthless when they attack. Just ask Phil Robertson or the Benham brothers. Freedom of speech only applies if you talk about the LGBT approved narrative. Infiltrate the churches. A website called Gay Church has been compiling facts and figures of the number of churches and denominations that now offer a LGBT-friendly service, and we found this number, just so you know, it's either this number or these numbers, to be quite revealing. Following taken from their militant homosexual group's website. Another trend that is continued is the number of independent Catholic churches now surpass the number of Roman Catholic parishes that are brave enough to publicly pronounce their affirming stance. The latter is hardly surprising, though, given the Vatican's ongoing negative policy toward the gay and lesbian community. Hopefully, we will begin to see this soften under Pope Francis. The five denominations of United Church of Christ, Episcopal, Lutheran, ELCA, Presbyterian, and United Methodist account for 4,623 of the gay-friendly churches listed, which is close to 70% of the directory. The only change from 2012 being that the United Church of Christ has moved slightly ahead of the Episcopal churches to be the most prolific gay-affirming denomination. I believe the gay marriage initiatives throughout the country and the world is a key indicator that major progress has taken place. Religious beliefs, unfortunately, are one of the major reasons why prejudice has been allowed to continue against the gay and lesbian community for so long. Indeed, it was religious dogma that gave validity to allowing prejudice to exist in the first place. In the same manner, I believe that opening church doors, hearts, and minds will be, in turn, be the vehicle that helps break down these same walls. I am constantly reminded in my heart that this is a movement as much to heal the body of Christ herself, no, i.e. the church as a whole, as it is for us in the gay and lesbian community. No, I'm sorry, wrong. Is it possible to be a gay Christian? The phrase gay Christian refers to a person who struggles against homosexual desires and temptations. Yes, a gay Christian is possible. However, the description gay Christian is not accurate for such a person, since he or she does not desire to be gay and is struggling against the temptations. Such a person is not a gay Christian, but rather is simply a struggling Christian, just as there are Christians who struggle with fornication, lying, and stealing. If the phrase gay Christian refers to a person who actively, perpetually, and unrepentantly lives in a homosexual lifestyle, no, it is not possible to be such a person and truly be a Christian. Using homosexual marriage, Obama's legacy, whether it will be finished in this term or his third one, there could be no third, will be centered around three main things that he managed to pull off: socialized medicine, granting illegal aliens illegal citizenship, and homosexual marriage. Obama worked so hard on promoting gay marriage, you would think he was getting a commission on the marriage license. The LGBT mafia is very smart. They know that they need to ram this down our throats and sell it in order to pass the rest of their agenda, and on this point, they have been astonishingly successful. The LGBT's campaign to radically alter your perception of sin, nature of homosexuality of the sinful nature of homosexuality, has for years been working through music videos, pornography, and in movies and television to make you feel bad if you will not condone their sinful lifestyle. Here is a Bible twister and ultra-far-left liberal Martin Sheen going through his paces in a pathetic attempt to make the Bible say things that it does not say. Nearly every Fortune 500 company, including Walt Disney, is on board with promoting a sodomite lifestyle. At the Magic Kingdom, it is paraded in front of children, and if you object, you're a homophobe. A massive, active indoctrination program aimed at children is underway in the public schools. In the end, the Bible says that in Revelation 3, the last church before the rapture, Laodicea, will be cold, dead, lifeless, and powerless. The only thing they have is an interest in money and material wealth. In 2 Thessalonians, it talks about a great falling away, which will also happen. In fact, both these things are happening now, and because of that, this hostile takeover attempt by the LGBT mafia will be successful. Bible believers will be marginalized, neutralized, and either hauled off to a prison cell or driven out of town on a rail. We live in a great dark age and are watching the slow but steady fall of the Christian church. But there is a ray of hope in all of this, and that is the rapture promised in Titus 2:13 and 1 Corinthians 15. And after we go, the rabid, ungodly hordes of the LGBT and others who preyed upon the church will be left alone to have the empty shell that will remain. It will be a form of godliness, but without any power of it. It will culminate in the apostate whore of Babylon church system led by the Vatican, which the Bible talks about in Revelations 17 and 18. To the LGBT mafia, we simply say this: but this is your hour and the power of darkness. Luke 22:53. It is better to be divided in truth than to be united in error. It is better to speak the truth that hurts than heals, than the falsehood that comforts and then kills. Let me tell you something, friend. It is not love and it is not friendship if we fail to declare the whole counsel of God. It is better to be hated for telling the truth than to be loved for telling a lie. It is impossible to find anyone in the Bible who was a power for God who did not have enemies and who was not hated. It is better to stand alone with the truth than to be wrong with the multitude. It is better to be ultimately succeeded with the truth than to temporarily succeeded with a lie. There is only one gospel, and Paul said, if any man preaches another gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. I'm actually going to stop here. I will link this in the description. But this is honestly something that's been going for longer than most people would like to admit. Began in the 90s with Bill Clinton's Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The soft point of, we don't really care who you are as long as you do your job. And continues today in the form of, how dare you tell me I'm not just as wonderfully gifted with the nature of heaven as you are? And on and on. You see, the message of the Bible is not that certain sinners will go to heaven and other sinners will not. The message of the Bible is that for all have sinned and fell short of the glory of God. All have sinned. From the first humans to today, everyone is born in sin. There is the belief that prior to knowledge of good and evil, basically until you are, 5 or 6, and you started to learn that what is good and what is bad, don't lie to your mom and dad, don't take things that aren't yours, don't hit people, things like that. Prior to that, when you are really just kind of figuring out, this is my hand, I can grab things, and things like that, that you don't have a knowledge of good and evil, and therefore death at that age is not punished. But we won't know that. But I know for a fact that everyone I have ever known is a sinner. Many of them have repented and, like myself, work to spread a good example. And when we fail, we apologize and we explain how we failed and how we should be able to overcome that failure. It is very clear that in the Bible, in both the Old and New Testament, references to sodomy, lesbianism, to homosexuality are called an abomination. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, one of the most contested Bible verses I've found, because the horde of men that surrounded Lot's home, demanding that the two angels, who they perceived to simply be men who had traveled there to visit him, they did not say, send out the men so we may have sex with them. They said, send them out so we may know them carnally. And that's where the dispute comes in. People say they just wanted to get to know them. They were afraid. Send them out so we may know who they are. No. The word is literally translated as know them carnally. And that is where the translation of so we may have sex with them comes from. It is not the exact words, but it is what the meaning is. Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by hellfire and brimstone from the sky. Lot's wife turned around and was turned into the pillar of salt. This is basically the parable, the great lesson of when you are specifically told to do something or not do something by God, don't do it or do it. And everyone I know who is a Christian, everyone I know who is not, struggles with doing the right thing. The difference is within the church, we have fellowship and we have accountability. I have friends of mine in my church that I talk to regularly, and we find out how each other's doing, and we find out what our struggles are, and we just talk. We're just friends. It's not like when I tell them I'm struggling with something, they break into a sermon. No, my pastor does that on Sunday mornings and at other meetings. But my friends, they simply that we just talk, but we have accountability, and we have that fellowship, that family feeling that we're not alone. And not everyone has that. But I mean, it's difficult to say because I'm not a biblical scholar. I'm a historian. Okay, I that's my degree. That's my certification to teach. But a lot of it does come into philosophy and religion. And if you look at it, the religions that are not targeted are those like Buddhism, Hinduism, those that be a good person and work to resolve your karma, and you will achieve nirvana. Everyone is good, everyone is bad. Live your life and be happy. Those are not targeted yet because they are not trying to tell homosexuals you're living in sin. Right now, it's Christianity and Judaism because at the moment, Christianity and Judaism is are the only two that can be gone after without hordes of people coming after to kill you. Look at how homosexuals are treated in the Middle East or in Sharia law countries. That's why the LGBT mafia doesn't go after Islam at this point. But in the last 7 years, the Great Tribulation, when the church has been removed from the planet, Christians will be pariahs. Jews will not be safe anywhere except Israel, which will be protected. Muslims will be praised along with every other non-Christian group, and the world will live in sin and darkness. And ultimately, it will come into the final battle between good and evil. And from there, it will be eternity. None of it, what happened prior, will really matter. The ultimate question, though, is why is no one standing up and saying, wait a minute, you claimed just 10, 15, 20 years ago that simply by virtue of not having equal rights, you were being downtrodden and attacked and brutalized and bullied. And now you're doing that same thing. Look at the baker. He would not make a special order cake. He would sell them a pre-made cake. He did not kick them out of his business. The lesbian couple that drove miles and miles to his shop past other bakeries and then sued him and tried to destroy his life because he would not use his talent to make a cake praising a lifestyle he sees as sinful. He would let them purchase a pre-made cake. He simply would not condone their union. They sued him. But then look at the homosexual coffee shop owner, who, when Christians who he had seen passing out literature came into his shop, did not order a special order. They simply got coffee and sat down and were talking to each other. He chases them out of his store, screaming and hurling profanities at them, all but threatening them with death, and nothing is said. Look at the people who ignore that, but call a Christian baker who won't devote specific time to a special order is wrong. And that's where you'll see the agenda. The agenda is not equality. It is not tolerance. It is not just let us be. It is superiority. It is acceptance and praise. It is you will obey us. And it's honestly, it's frightening. But I've talked about this one long enough. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, keep the comments civil. We do not learn from debate. We do not learn from argument. We learn from debate. I haven't really slept much the last 2 days. But we do need to keep it to a debate so we learn from each other. As always, please like and share the video as well as to comment, subscribe, and activate notifications so that you're among the first to know of any new content as it is posted. Until next time, everybody have a wonderful day and a great week.